surround everyone is crying. All the light was fading like the light's back now.
For evolved humans, I'm Miss Day. So, right when I was getting ready for this one, I felt like I heard that song, that old song. It's like Patsy Cline. Is that the right word? Is that the right name? It's that crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. And I don't know what that's about, but it's like it's almost like someone feels like they've been beating their head against a wall. It feels like there's almost like this constant misconception happening, and it's like you're not even sure like how to break free of this tie or this experience happening here. So it's a couple of different things in this one. I feel like going forward, they really want you to fight for what's right. And it's almost like I feel like there's this huge wave in there of people that need to feel positive in a physical way. Like you need to feel a physical connection with your own body where you're like grateful that this is your body, that you feel happy that you get to inhabit this space. Like I feel like there's a huge feeling of people who it's like you've got this detachment from your own pleasure physically. I don't know if that's like maybe a phase of life that some people have kind of gotten stuck in where they're like, oh, well, stagnation happens. That is a huge start in this. It's as soon as I got ready for the reading, it was like break the cycle of stagnation. Stillness and non-motion is not the way forward. It's like constant motion. You don't have to go fast. You just have to move. And it's like, okay. I feel like in the recent past, whoever this reading is for, it's like, it's like, you know how in yoga people say there are yoga poses? I like to teach yoga and experience yoga myself without worrying about the names because as you know, I'm bad at them. But it's like, I actually feel like motion matters more than a destination. It's like the experience getting there, that is the training. So it's like I like to say yoga motions whenever I'm doing that physically, because it's like this teeny tiny little motion and effort, little bitty bits of motion and constant effort pull you forward. That's progression happening slowly, but it's happening. And it's like I feel like a lot of you take many avenues to learn in life, and then it's like everything externally is kind of like stuck in place around you. And it's almost like you totally know that you have control of it, but you don't want to do anything about it. That's what it feels like. The future outcome of this reading, it's like this feels very much like someone who's decided, okay, so it's like the past feeling is almost like being in your own tunnel vision. Not all of you, but some of you, where it's like there's your own little, tunnel view of the world, maybe a sheltered view. And then it's like, which a lot of us have, like through our adolescence, and then it seems like a part of that has kind of like led you into maybe even having shielded part or dishonest parts in your own connections, like your relationships with other people. I think that's caused a lot of you to become isolated inside of your own self. Like I think it's caused an isolation type of feeling and experience after not being able to really fully experience the positives in intimate connections in life, I think. And then currently, right now, I think that you're trying to do that. I think that a lot of you, if you're getting this reading and if it's like coming into your view and you are drawn to it, this feels like kind of a crowd that's sort of silently calculating. It's almost like you're setting out with a new course. You're just like mapping it out before you go into motion. And I think that's where this like, you know what I keep hearing? There's, I used to hear this woman say frequently, because it really rang true to her when she heard these words spoken by like a life coach or something. But I just keep hearing the words like, I'm not going to be a tomorrow girl. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. Like, snap into motion, like now. As soon as you want it, start doing something. You're not going to get the result as the first step. But it's like, without that first step, you won't go there. You won't make it. There's a for sure non-accomplishment without taking that first step to get there. And it's like, okay, so I think that a lot of this reading feels like you're pressing forward to kind of align with your own. This feels like a physical type of, I don't know if it's like a feminine, sensual type of energy that needs to flow in here, but it's like somebody really needs to feel aligned with their physical body. I think some of you might be weighed down by pain points. And you know what? That can kind of feel like a mental prison in a way, where it's like, especially if you're someone who identifies by having like chronic pain, it can feel like you're stuck in one place. And I think that's something that you got out of from your like earlier emotional type of experiences in life. So it's almost like, whoa, it's almost like it's become what is happening around you. Like what happened early on in the past, you know, like way back in the past, where it's like your reflection now of the external circumstances, it's like the same as that kind of was at you emotionally in your past. That's crazy. So in order to break that cycle and break that like habit, it's like a habitual cycle. It feels like a phase that someone keeps going into. And it's like, to break that this time, it's like they're saying don't stagnate, like stagnation is the enemy here in this period of time for you. Don't sit still. Just be actively trying to find pleasure moments in like a physical way. Like physical pleasure is a huge thing that just keeps coming in. And I think that this is like a new thing. Some of you need to embark on a new physical journey, and some of you, it's like what this is allowing yourself to find that alone. Like find a physical thing that makes you feel good and lights you up and makes your energy and your breathing really flow. Like I feel like some of you need to get your heart rate up. And I know that sounds like, oh, we'll just get some exercise. But I mean, literally, I feel like some of you have gone through so much emotional growth that it's time for you to step up your game in a physical way. It's like that's going to raise you up to the next level. And you know what? I'm even noticing 2 rainbows in something that like I typically I wouldn't even care. And it's like I'm seeing that, where it's like you need to see the parallel. Like your ability to cause things to not move, it exists right alongside your ability to just tweak things and move things little by little. And I think this is a huge deal for some of you, where it's even a physical thing. And I just keep thinking that some of you really need to stop hiding the part of you that wants to live in self-health and like mental stability. Some of you in this, it's like you need to stop wearing it as a shameful part of yourself that no one can see. It's like there's a vulnerability, and that's your battle. It's like you don't even see that you being vulnerable with your own truth and not seeing it as something that is embarrassing or it's going to make you look bad. It's like some of you were given that type of concern in your youth and throughout development. And I think that it made you have to hide things from like maybe your parents, maybe just like your role models, instead of trusting that you would be, taken in with open arms and find your way. It's like, this feels really important. Like, I feel like this feels, it's like, don't stifle yourself in the way that you experienced being stifled already. They're like, okay, you recognize it and then you take the upper hand now. You take control and you decide, I really want to feel this way. Like, if yours, you know what I keep thinking? I keep thinking of all the people that I've talked to that are like, I love to dance and the feminine that flows throughout me and like I have my own way. That in itself, it's a pleasure. It's a physical experience of like feeling sensual. And if you're not in a relationship where you get to feel that way, give yourself permission. Like, this is kind of funky, but this is a part of this reading. Like, give yourself permission to find your vibe in there. Ask for it. Ask to be like awakened in a physical way again, where you feel gratitude for the body that you're in. Because I feel like there's a huge sense of like, some of you feel like you're just constantly swimming upstream when it comes to your physical feelings, like pain and like maybe even sciatica. I mean, like stuff like physical stuff feels like it's kind of weighing you down. And I think that a lot of that ties into your emotional well-being and just your ability to experience your own, your own flow. So it's like little bitty things are going to make a huge difference with what it is that you're going forward with here. And I think it's unlocking your ability to want more for yourself, to not just want the pain to go away, but to also want to feel good. Like, not just like, oh, it's gone. You know how you have, there's this crazy thing. If you've, I know some of you know what this is like. If you've gone through like a relationship that's had, maybe it's abusive or it's got turmoil or just like a lot of low level crap in it, where it's like, living with a wasp or a jumping spider as a person, okay, as their behavior. If you're living in that, sometimes we go through a period of time, like if you've ever been in that circumstance where it's like, once the water's calm for a minute, it's like, oh, you're so grateful to have a breath of fresh air that you never really reach for better than just not bad, And it's like, that's what this is really about. This is so much about external relationships kind of needing to get out of the way for you to have a clearer view of your own relationship with your own body. Because if you're wanting to have better relationships and better connections with others, they're like, what are you going to count on going forward? Like, you need a physical foundation there. And I know that sounds like such a naggy type of thing to say, but I feel like this is such a physical, lately, even in this week, I feel like so many people are being told, like, take the upper hand that you can take, which is oftentimes, it's physical. And sometimes with the physical stuff, you have to start with a decision that this is not going to take me down forever. I'm not going to be swimming upstream forever. I'm going to find my flow, and then I'm going to feel good. It's like you have to want what it is you're not experiencing just to believe that it's possible to experience it. You have to want it for yourself. And I feel like you're being told that. Like, don't just focus on the forward motion, all the mature stuff, all the serious measures. Like, let yourself have pleasure in there too. For you, just for you, because you want to feel good. It feels like an opening up to something that I think a lot of you have kind of closed off to. I'm not really sure what that's about, but it feels you need to let yourself want it. It's like, let yourself have desires for your own physical sensations, because that is a gift, isn't it? To be able to sense all of these different levels. And it's like, why would you only be deserving of sensing the low levels? So fight for it. That's what it feels like. It feels like fight for it. Like, you're actually not going to be swimming upstream forever if you just step into the fight. Like, you're literally not fighting alone. Okay. Oh, that's where the two rainbows thing comes in too, where it's like you literally do have help. You have help. When you're aware of that help and you allow that help into your walk, it's like, oh my gosh, you need your vehicle to be on your team too. Isn't that neat? Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that feels helpful. I hope this resonates, because I do think that I'm talking to some people who feel kind of like they're a loner, or they're destined to be a loner. And I think that the message is like, no, you're destined to go where you want to go. You're actually destined to just kind of get there feeling better than you think you will. You know, like you need to believe that feeling better, that's a tangible thing for you, specifically you. Don't just do the right thing. Also do what feels good. Isn't that crazy? It feels like such a thing where it's like you have to want something good for you, like in a positive way, where it's not about serving others. It's just about you enjoying exactly what you are and where you are at this moment in time. And I think that's a lot of this. A lot of this feels like going forward, you need a sense of grounding. Like whoever you are, I think that you're way open and you're stepping into a new phase. And it's like you need a sense of grounding so that you don't kind of lose it or like slip off, you know? Like this is crazy, but I keep picturing this video game of like a rainbow pathway. I don't know what this is. It's like where you're like, there's literally no railings and there's no anything other than black and your pathway forward. And I feel like you need to know what your pathway forward is. You need something to hold on to. And you're going to stay living in this body the whole way forward. So it's like, well, obviously that's a good place to start. Funny. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a very positive. It also feels, I just keep wanting to say, like, if you feel like you've excelled, like you've surpassed, that's what it is, where you've surpassed a moment where you're going to feel all the physical excitement and all the physical pleasures. Like, stop telling yourself that. Erase that narrative, because you're not gone yet. So far, it's not over. Reach for more. Oh, it's so crazy cool. And some of you, I think it's a hope type of reach too, where they're like, don't give up hope. Oh my gosh, now I'm like thinking that quote where it's like, I don't know what it is or who said it or where it's from, but it's like, I've seen it somewhere where just when you feel like, just at the moment that you feel like giving up is the moment right before everything's about to change. And that's what this feels like. This is that moment where it's like you feel like, oh, there's no use, there's nothing special, I don't have anything particular to offer, or I won't be able to, like, no. This is the moment where you have to believe in something you've never believed before. And I think it's because you have a full capacity to do so. You have more room, and they're like, fill you up with all of that. Don't look for someone else to fill that void for you. You need to find it. You find that pleasure, and then you find the match. You don't find the pleasure to be placed there. Whew. That is crazy, because it also feels like an accountability type of thing, where it's like, I don't know if you're someone who's like always reaching for someone to help you be accountable. I feel like a lot of this message is like, you hold you accountable to what you want to experience. Oh my gosh, I'm like goosebumping in my head. So I feel like this is very important for you to make a decision. Make that a narrative that you carry going forward. Not the past narratives of, I'll never reach this, it's a constant upstream. You have to rid yourself of that by replacing it with what you truly want to experience. Not what you think you have a limited opportunity to maybe experience a little bit of. No. It's like literally erase. Oh my gosh. And I'm even remembering this thing where Earl Nightingale said, don't talk about your health unless it's good. Like, why? Why put that into the air? Why add to it in a physical way with a physical vibration into the atmosphere, you know? And it's like, I feel like that's what this is, where they're like, every little bit that you think you may have control, you have control. they're like, yes, that's something you can do. You remove that and you replace it with a new affirmation, and that is a foundation. That's a lot of these times, like we'll talk about or we'll read about or hear about. Say these morning affirmations every day, or say this to manifest your new lifestyle. And a lot of times it's like, that is not a motion necessarily. It's reestablishing your grounding. It's reestablishing that you have something that you want to attain. And then you carry that with you constantly. That's why we repeat it. So crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Let me know if this resonates with you individually. This feels like a lot of different things going on in a circumstance way. You know, it feels like a lot of different things, but huge physical control. Okay, so subscribe to my channel if you feel like my readings are resonating with you, or if you just feel like you're learning how you're even doing your readings. That is awesome. I love learning about that stuff too. And it validates for me on the other end when you let me know in the comments when it resonates for you and how. That is very cool. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a really good rest of your night, and I'll see you in the next reading.